Last episode, we got the kitchen cleaned up. Today, we actually start cooking. And level 1 is this. How do you turn text into numbers? Picture yourself writing a letter to a robot. It can't recognize a single letter of the alphabet. All it understands is numbers. The letter A that you wrote, to the robot, that's 65, the ASCII code for A. So every character has to become a number before a neural network can touch it. Here's the simplest idea. Just give every word a number. Take this sentence. The cat sat on the mat. To make the numbers concrete, I'm using GPT's actual vocabulary here. The is 464 and cat is 9,246. The rest are on screen. Those numbers have a name. Tokens. 6 words, 6 tokens. But this approach has 2 fatal flaws. First, the vocabulary explodes. Chinese has tens of thousands of common words. English has hundreds of thousands. And anti-disestablishmentarianism, a nearly 30-letter word almost nobody uses, gets its own dedicated number. Second, new words are simply impossible to handle. Slang like riz or yeet didn't exist when the vocabulary was built. Okay, so let's go to the other extreme, splitting by letters. Every letter is 1 token. The vocabulary is tiny, just a few dozen to a couple hundred characters, and you'll never run into an unknown word. But the price is brutal. A single word gets stretched into 4 or 5 tokens on average, so your sequences become enormous. And here's the killer. Letters have no meaning on their own. The model sees C, A, T as 3 separate tokens. How is it supposed to know that means a cat? Both roads are dead ends. So what do? We need something in between, and that's subword tokenization. Break words into frequently occurring chunks. Not too big, not too small, just right. Look at this word, unbelievably. GPT-2 splits it into 4 pieces, like you see on screen. And GPT, that splits into just 2 pieces, G on its own, and then PT stuck together. Notice there's no grammar rule behind any of this. Running is common enough that it stays a single whole token, while anti-disestablishmentarianism gets shattered into 5. Frequency decides everything. This is BPE, byte pair encoding. GPT-2, GPT-3, GPT-4, they all use this same family of algorithm. And every time you hear that GPT-4 supports a 128K context window, that K is counting tokens. And the vocabulary? That's just the complete set of all possible tokens. So how does BPE actually build that vocabulary? You start with 256 byte tokens. Hold on to that number, 256. It's going to matter more than you'd think. Then each step does 4 things. Count how often every adjacent pair shows up. Find the pair that shows up the most, merge that pair into a brand new token, and replace it everywhere in the text. Repeat 50,000 times. Why go after the most frequent pair? Because merging it saves the most effort. Same text, fewer tokens, faster processing. That's it. 4 operations, nothing else. Let's walk through it with 4 words. Low, lower, newest, and widest. In our corpus, low appears 5 times, lower twice, newest 6 times, and widest 3 times. We're simplifying bytes down to letters here, but the logic is identical. Watch the screen. In the starting state, every character is its own token, and after removing duplicates, we've got 10 tokens in the vocabulary, as shown. Step 1. E and S appear 9 times, tied for the highest with S and T. When pairs tie, we pick whichever appears first in the text, so E and S goes first, merging into ES. Step 2. ES and T also appear 9 times, so we merge those into EST. 2 steps in and the suffix EST has been pulled right out of the fragments. Both newest and widest contain it. Nobody told the algorithm to do that. Frequency figured it out on its own. Next, L and O appear 7 times together, so those merge into LO. Then LO and W, also 7 times, merge into low. And just like that, the root low gets extracted too. 4 steps, and the vocabulary went from 10 to 14. In real training, this loop runs 50,000 times, and the vocabulary balloons to over 50,000 entries. Once the vocabulary is built, these fragments combine in flexible ways. Take lowest. It never appeared in the training corpus, not once, but split it into low plus EST, and both fragments are already in the vocabulary. Perfect match. What about slower? Also never seen before. No problem. In our little demo vocabulary, it splits into S, then low, then E, then R. Low is a merged subword fragment, and S, E, and R are caught by the original single characters at the bottom. So which of the three actually wins? Check out this table. Row 1, the relationship between lowest and low. Split by letters, and since letters carry no meaning, there's no way to see the two are related at all. Split by whole words, and you get two completely unrelated numbers. Split by subwords, and lowest becomes low plus est, sharing that low token with the standalone word low. Same token, same slot in the vocabulary. The model gets the connection for free. Row 2, hitting a new word like Riz. Letter level handles it fine. Word level just gives up and marks it as unknown. Subword breaks it into two smaller fragments it already knows and doesn't blink. Row 3, vocabulary size. Letter level is the smallest, just a few dozen. Word level starts at 500,000. Subword lands around 50,000. Row 4, sequence length. Letter level is the longest. Word level is the shortest. Subword sits comfortably in the middle. And what about emoticons and emoji? Word-level tokenization doesn't have them in the vocabulary, so it breaks constantly. Letter level only saves you if you are smart enough to put every single emoji into your character set up front, and there are thousands of them. Byte-level BPE doesn't have to be smart. It operates on UTF-8 bytes. All 4 bytes of that smiley emoji are already sitting in the 256 starting tokens. It literally cannot break. And it's not just emoji. Chinese works the same way. A common character like the one meaning middle gets its own single token in the vocabulary. A rare character gets split into several tokens at the byte level. Emoji, source code, any language on Earth, one single vocabulary covers it all. 50,257 tokens. And that is exactly why, from GPT-2 all the way to GPT-4, they all picked this approach. So when GPT is actually running what's really inside that vocabulary, there are 3 kinds of tokens, plus one property that catches everyone off guard. The first kind is regular tokens, your standard subword fragments, cat, ing, and single characters. The second kind is space-prefixed tokens. That special symbol on screen that looks like a capital G with a dot over it, that's the space marker, meaning this word has a space in front of it. So in the cat, it doesn't split into the and cat, it splits into the and then the version of cat that carries a space in front of it. The space is part of the token. And that property I mentioned, case sensitivity. The with a capital T and the with a lowercase t are 2 completely different tokens. The third kind is the one people overlook the most, EOS, the end of sequence token. Watch the screen. Up top we have 2 separate documents, the cat sat, period, and the dog ran, period. Without an end token, the 2 token sequences get fused together seamlessly. That first period is immediately followed by the, so the model thinks it's all one document and learns that periods are usually followed by a capitalized the. Completely wrong. Now add the EOS token, and it acts like a firewall wedged between the 2 documents. The model learns that this symbol means that document is over, and whatever comes next has nothing to do with what came before. This one token, number 50,256, determines whether the model can tell where one document ends and the next begins. Let's open up the code. At the core, there are just 2 operations. Encode turns text into a sequence of IDs. Decode turns IDs back into text. We're not going to read every line, we're just covering 3 design choices that actually matter. First, why use tick token instead of writing your own? It's written in Rust and can tokenize tens of megabytes of text per second. A pure Python implementation would be 100 times slower. Plus, it ships with all 50,000 merge rules from GPT-2's original training, battle-tested on billions of documents. Second, the allowed special parameter. For security reasons, tick token blocks all special tokens by default. If you don't explicitly allow them, it throws an error. This is a real trap people fall into. Third, 50,257. Why is that number exactly right? 50,000 merges, plus 256 byte tokens, plus 1 EOS token. And this number also determines the size of the model's output layer. Every single time it predicts the next word, it has to score all 50,000 plus candidates. Let's run it. Basic text, The cat sat on the mat, period. 6 words and a period go in, 7 token IDs come out, and decoding gives back the exact original character for character. The EOS token comes back as 50,256. Now this ridiculously long word, anti-disestablishmentarianism, splits into ant, IDIS, establishment, Aryan, and ism. 5 fragments, and decoding restores it perfectly. And finally, emoji. Hello, smiley face world, tokenized without a hitch. So now we can turn any text into numbers. Level 1 cleared. But numbers by themselves carry no meaning. 464 and 9,246 are just 2 unrelated integers as far as the model is concerned. Next episode, we breathe soul into every one of those numbers with embeddings, turning a single integer into a 768-dimensional vector of meaning. See you next time.